Hi, I'm Kate Sigler. I'm the Assistant Library Manager at the Woodlawn Branch of the Baltimore County Public Library. I'm going to talk today about the Excite Transformation for Libraries training program that some colleagues and I attended in 2018 and 2019, and the Be Involved Service Club that we started for teens as a part of that training. I'm going to mainly focus on Excite and the process and the tools that we learned there. And then in April, when we meet, we can talk more about how we applied those tools for Be Involved and for other programs that we've done at the library as well. So first off, what is Excite? It is an intensive team-based experiential learning program where we were introduced to ideas from design thinking and consumer marketing and had a lot of time to apply those to library services and programs. It was hosted by an organization called Innovation Builders and the Connecticut State Library, and it was funded through an IMLS grant. So 4 of us from BCPL went, 2 staff members from my branch, Woodlawn, and 2 from another branch, Rosedale. And when they said intensive, they meant it. It was 3 week-long trainings. We traveled to Rhode Island each time. The first one in September, we just learned kind of the Excite process. And then in November, we developed our program idea. And in February, we went back and pitched our idea to get some funding to implement it. So to start out, they presented us with a task, which was to activate our library using space, program, services, and/or resources to make it the place where community members are excited to come together to connect, share, or collaborate in an enjoyable and meaningful way. There are lots of different types of library services and programs that a library could develop, but what we were really focusing on was bringing the community together to connect, share, collaborate in some way. So not just a teaching program, but where they were interacting with each other meaningfully. So the first step was to decide who in our community did we want to work with. So we kind of started with some larger groups, the typical ages, adults, teens, children's families, and then started narrowing it down and narrowing it down. I'm going to start this little video here, which will give you a sense of what an average day is pre-COVID, of course, in my library. Lots and lots of teenagers. And these are just the ones hanging out on the floor. We also have a meeting room where we do all sorts of programs after school. So we chose teens. That was definitely the group that we were most interested in designing a program for. And so then within teens, we thought about what are the different segments within teens coming to the library. So there are teens coming to look for work. There are college-bound teens. We do some programming with LGBTQ teens. And then we also just have all these teens who are just there, just coming every day, hanging out. And so we chose those. So it was the most general group and the most universal between the 2 branches. The Rosedale branch doesn't have quite the same level of teens every day, but they also are very close to a high school and have a lot of kids in there after school. So we decided to focus on the teens who are already coming into our branch. And then from there, we narrowed it down even further. What are these teens motivated by? What is motivating them to be in the library? So some are looking for opportunities for self-expression because we have any number of creative art programs, anime, drawing, all sorts of stuff. Some are just looking for a safe space to hang out after school while they wait to get picked up by their parents. Some are looking to learn life skills. Again, we have lots of programs and things we try to do and just conversations that we have with them. And some are looking for academic achievement. We decided to focus on life skills as we went forward in this process. So once we had narrowed down who we wanted to work with, the next step was completing what's called an empathy map. And a lot of these steps that I'm talking through they come from design thinking and other parts of marketing in the business world. And you can easily Google them and find an example of what an empathy map looks like that you could use to do empathy mapping yourself. But basically what you're doing is thinking about a group and trying to think through what are they trying to do functionally, what are they trying to do emotionally, um, where are they having trouble with those things, what are they doing to kind of work around those, how do they feel, how do they want to feel, and what would have to be true for them to feel that way, for them to be able to achieve what they're trying to do functionally and emotionally. And then from that, you can figure out, well, so then what are we through our program or our service trying to solve for them? Um, and you will see these feel, want, have to be true. That's going to come up a lot throughout this process. And so at this first time, all of these things were what we were doing while we were there in September. And so a lot of what we were thinking about was, what do these teens want? They want experience that's going to help them in whatever comes next in their life. But we were thinking a lot about hard skills, um, skills that will apply for jobs, skills that will help them in a college application, things like that. Um, but luckily, the next part was to go home and actually talk to our teens about what they wanted, instead of just assuming that we knew what they wanted. So we did a series of community co-design sessions, which are kind of like focus groups. We would get a group of kind of 6 to 8 teens. We bought chips and absolutely bribed them with chips to come into our study rooms with us and have these conversations. And it was laid out for us, kind of what we were going to ask, how it was going to go. Um, Excite had given us kind of a template for how these would work. And it started out with word associations. So no comments from us, just I say blank. So I say collaboration, you think, and we just wait for someone to say something and write it up on the board. I say sharing ideas, you think, and write it down. And then from the same thing, so we'd start with I say collaboration, you think, I say collaboration, you feel. And so you're kind of getting a slightly different reaction, what you think about, but how does that actually make you feel? We talked about positive and negative experiences that they had had with collaboration. And we did a group exercise where they had to design their ideal program for people to connect at the library. So these were fascinating conversations. We learned a lot from doing this. I highly recommend it. If there's only one thing you take away from this, do some community co-design sessions and just sit down and like really ask teams to think about things in this way. Because if you just ask them, what do you want to do at the library? They tend to think about what have they already done at the library. Whereas if you ask them more broadly, what do you think about connecting with the community? How do you feel about connecting with the community? You get very interesting, deeper answers that can still lead to meaningful library programs. So some of the things that we learned from our teens is that, unsurprisingly, having a highly social and very fun environment was really, really important to them. In terms of collaboration, equal participation is essential. Most of their negative experiences, as is probably the case for a lot of us, involved them doing a lot of work and the other people that they were supposed to be collaborating with not doing a lot of work, which is very frustrating. They didn't want to feel forced into anything. It had to be something they were interested in doing for them to really participate fully or feel good about it. And we found out that they were really motivated by good causes. They really wanted to make a difference in the world, to help people. And they wanted to accomplish things and not just talk about things that were important, but like actually physically do a thing that was going to help someone something. But they didn't generally feel real respected by the adults around them. And so they didn't really know how to do that, how to make a difference in a larger sense. And it was also really important to them that they be recognized for their efforts. So no one likes to spend a lot of time doing something and then for no one to ever say thank you or for to feel like it really made a difference. So that was what we learned from our first round of community co-design sessions. And then we went back to Rhode Island for the second part of Excite. And we spent, no joke, a whole day at least brainstorming. And we did a million different brainstorming activities. We filled out more Post-its than you can imagine. We would, go into a room and there would be pictures of images from nature, images of everyday objects. And this was all of the libraries, not just us, all 6 libraries, 4 people from each team going around, looking at a picture from nature, having it inspire an idea for any element of a program or service. And you would just jot it down on a Post-it note, stick it to a wall. You'd sit down and write out 5 ideas, and then they'd show like a picture of Apple, and you'd think, well, if Apple was designing this program or service, what would they bring to it? What would that make it look like? Write it down on some Post-its. You'd write down some ideas, and then they'd put up, a word like rearrange it. And so you'd look at the words that were on your Post-it and come up with a new idea just by rearranging the words that were already written down. All these different activities to just make us think in a million different ways. I joke about the Post-its, but it was really very, very helpful and very interesting and brainstorming in a way that I certainly had not done before. And then we kind of had a chance to just walk around and look at all the Post-its that everyone had put up and kind of process a little bit what had been going on, and then come back with our groups and see what ideas we had for the programs that we wanted to do at our libraries with our communities. And I saw on one of the Post-its, someone wrote speed dating for volunteer opportunities. And I thought, that's maybe something we could turn into an opportunity for the kids to make a difference in the world. And so what we came up with was Be Involved, our after school club, where we work with partner organizations to come up with service projects that the kids can work on in the library after school. The teens could choose which of the projects, so based on their interest in the work that community organization was doing. And then kind of a kickoff event where the organizations came and talked with the teens and got to know them and talked about the importance of what they did and the importance of the projects that the kids would be working on. And then a closing event where we would recognize everyone. So that kind of tried to hit on a lot of the things that we had learned from the community co-design session. And so as we continued to think through what would this look like, what would the details be, we filled out what's called a business model canvas. This is another one of the things that you can Google and find a template for. And this was a helpful way to really get all of the pieces of this marked down or written down and figured out. But also what I thought was really useful about it was that it had a place for the value proposition, so that, which is how is what you're doing really meeting the need? How is it of value to the people that you are producing this service, program, whatever for? So everything we did throughout this whole process was always bringing you back to what are the needs of the community you're serving? Is what you're doing actually meeting the needs that they told you they had? Will this be of value, of use to them? So once we kind of had our idea fleshed out, we went back home again and had more community co-design sessions. where we took kind of the outline of the idea, presented it to the teens, again, chips to bribe them to come, and kind of got their impressions of our idea. So kind of the baseline, bare bones pitch that we gave was be involved, work with your friends during teen hangout on creative community service projects of your choice. And what we asked them were kind of like, what are your first impressions of that? And then there were more kind of word association, fill in the blank kinds of things. So this program is for people who, what would have to be true for it to be for you? What would have to be true for you to participate? Lots of what would have to be trues. To be excited to participate, to recommend it. What would participating do for you? How would it make you feel? And then we again had them design their own ideal version of this program. Who would attend, who would lead it, where would it be, how long would it be, all those kinds of nitty gritty details, but also what would it feel like, what would the vibe be? What we learned was food is essential, which again, for all of us working with teens, not a shock, but it really came up a lot. What would have to be true for you to participate? Food. What would have to be true for you to participate? For you to be excited? Food. So food was essential. They let us know that they were interested in doing projects that would help animals, children, seniors. They wanted to earn service learning hours for it. They thought that would help motivate them and their friends to attend. And this was just nice to hear. They were more likely to do this at the library than at other places because they're already at the library. And so this was like a thing that they, were interested in doing, thought sounded like cool, but would they go out of their way to like find this somewhere else? Probably not. But if it was already happening at the library, they were totally down for it. So that was helpful to know. And this was just a nice little fill in the blank. Participating in this program would make me feel like a hero, someone wrote. So that made us feel like, okay, I think we're onto something that that might be really a good experience for them and for us. And so, yeah, we went back, pitched our idea for Be Involved, got funding, and started the after school club in March. I have some numbers from how it went that first year. We did do it again in the 2019-2020 school year, but of course the 2020 school year was cut short because of COVID. And so I don't have any numbers for that one, but we had 38 people participate. The organizations we worked with that year were the Baltimore County Humane Society, Meals on Wheels, Sarah's Hope Family Shelter, and Araminta Freedom Initiative, which is a group that works with victims of sex trafficking. And so they made things like dog toys for the Humane Society, flower pots, which we put flowers in and took to Meals on Wheels that could be delivered with their meals. They made these great, they decorated shirts with like inspirational sayings and things like that for Araminta, and they also made jewelry for their clients. Yeah, and it was a really good experience all around. So I have just a quick video clip of one of the participants talking about her experience. So yeah, that's Excite in a quick nutshell and our program Be Involved. And I look forward to talking to you all about it more in April. Have a great day.